Music for All is proud to sponsor Bandstand. At Music for All, we're about providing positively life-changing experiences. Join us with your marching band at Bands of America or with your concert ensemble at the Music for All National Festival. Students can audition for our honor ensembles or attend camp at the Music for All Summer Symposium, featuring the Sweetwater Director Academy, an amazing week of professional development for directors led by Dr. Nola Jones. Learn more at musicforall.org.
Romeo Music is the leader in audio, video, music, and lighting technology for educators. With a combined nearly 200 years of experience, Romeo Music's subject matter experts understand the struggles that face teachers in today's music classrooms. With a laser focus on educational technology, Romeo Music provides a turnkey solution, everything from audio cables to on-site training. To learn more, visit www.romeomusic.net.
Hello, and welcome to Bandstand, the official podcast of the Tennessee Bandmasters Association. I'm your host, David Adelit, and I hope you'll join us on a journey through the past, present, and future of bands in Tennessee. We'll delve into the rich history of Tennessee bands, uncovering the hidden gems and legendary figures who shaped the state's band landscape. We'll survey the present, where you'll meet the movers and shakers of today, gaining insights from their expertise and experiences. And we'll gaze towards the future, exploring the exciting possibilities that await Tennessee's school bands. Hello, everyone. This is David Adelit. After a first season of 23 full episodes and 15 Mic Check Mondays, Bandstand is back for Season 2. First off, a huge thank you to our listeners. You've taken a chance on this podcast, and I appreciate it very much. As a retired band director and now amateur podcaster, I'm a firm believer in the ready, fire, aim approach to creating something new. Your comments and support and conversations have been very helpful in helping to focus and shape the content we have here on Bandstand. You have a lot of choices about how to fill your own personal airwaves, and it means a lot to me that you've chosen Bandstand as a part of your listening menagerie. Also, I want to thank our sponsors, Music for All and Romeo Music. We wouldn't be able to have this podcast without their support. Thank you to Romeo Music and Music for All. Season 2 is going to include a few new things, including some series like Everyone Has a Story to Tell. That'll be similar to last season's episode that featured Leif Cook. Also, names we shouldn't forget about past directors and teachers that have impacted our state. Practical pedagogy, which will feature some nuts and bolts methods that teachers can use in their band rehearsals. And also a series of conversations centered around how directors and parents can build support for band in their communities. Along the way, we'll have special features about folks who are doing exceptional work, and we'll continue to hold to our mission to build a stronger, more unified band community in Tennessee by fostering meaningful conversations about the past, present, and future of school bands in our state. Also, I'd love to feature more voices on our Mic Check Monday episodes. Last year, we were fortunate to have Carol Gocher and Randall Coleman lend their wisdom for this segment. And this year, let's try to increase the numbers of contributors dramatically. There's a lot of wisdom in this state. So if you have a message that would benefit band folks across the state, email me at tbabandstandpodcast@gmail.com. Today's episode features conversations with the 3 regional presidents of ETSBOA, MTSBOA, and WTSBOA, as well as J.R. Baker, the current president of Tennessee Bandmasters Association. We discuss the scope of their responsibilities and what's going on in their respective associations this year. I hope you enjoy this first episode of Bandstand Season 2. Thanks again, everybody. Okay, everybody, we're going to introduce J.R. Baker first. He's the president of Tennessee Bandmasters. Then we're going to hear from East, Middle, and West. So we're going to hear from Megan Christian, Stacy Jernigan, and Benjamin Martin, all of our regional presidents, and they're going to talk about what's going on with their associations for this year. So, JR, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir. Happy summer. TBA president has been a very interesting endeavor. And I've said this at every meeting I've been in with it, and I think I've probably said it on this podcast before, is that it has, the way that it's been set up kind of creates a vacuum in leadership. It really becomes the president-elect, past president that really do a lot of the grunt work. And obviously Carol Chipman, who is our treasurer secretary. And so it's a lot of just interior stuff. And so one of the things that, visions for TBA has been how to expand that, how to bring in more people, try to set up an advisory council, or not really a board, but that might be what it ends up looking like, so that there's more people invested in what the association's doing, more ideas at the table, more voices coming in, so that we can do more to represent the band programs in the state.
You want to talk about the music list?
Music list, that's I'm excited about the music list. Of if anything happens out of my term as TBA president, if that actually comes to fruition and we get those lists revised, and not if we get it to happen, but when it happens, like that'll be something that I will feel really good about having had some part in getting that ball rolling.
Yeah, for folks that might be new to the area, Tennessee Bandmasters Association has the list that all the bands choose from when they choose their music for concert performance assessment for young directors. And this list is a huge mammoth list, and we've been kicking the can down the road for a long time about how to edit it, how to make it more user-friendly for folks. And JR, if you are able to do this, then we will just rename Tennessee Bandmasters after you, because it'll be such a huge accomplishment.
It's not going to happen with just me. I can tell you that it will be a group of folks making that happen, and of course, Mark.
Oh, I understand that, but if you can lead it, it'll be momentous for us all. Okay, Megan, president of East Tennessee Band and Orchestra Association. Are you in your first year, Megan, or is that right, or your second year?
No, this is my first year in the
Okay.
office as president, and I did serve 2 years as president-elect. It's if you were to say, how's it going? I would say it's terrifying and humbling and an honor and terrifying and it's exciting. And I just think about like Jim, who was president, who's currently past president and was president while I was president-elect. It's Jim Burton, amazing human being, is so wonderful to watch during a meeting and bring people together and listen to these different perspectives and hold on to the vision of what it is we're talking about and looking forward. And then, every person before him, it's just kind of like, again, terrifying and exciting at the same time, and humbling and an honor. And so I think, as our board came together this summer and we saw some transition, it was, we want to keep this, everything that's great, which is so much, right? And so what is the next step? Like, how can we continue to make this better? What are we looking at? And what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? Where can we find those weaknesses and turn them into opportunities? And, and make sure there are no threats to anything that we're doing. And so that has been exciting to talk about and to look at from different perspectives, and also to hear from some of our members who see things in different ways too. So there's just if this comes up in conversation later, we only have 2 general meetings a year as an association. And over the last 20 years I've been in the association, there's been pockets of people at different times and different pockets of people that have said, well, it'd be great if we could have more meetings. How do we do this? And so it's been great to kind of like come together with like Stacy and Ben and JR, and just like, well, how do you all do this over there? And how do we do this? How do you do this over here? Well, we do this over here. And so talking through like ways that we can look at that and find ways for us to collaborate more as a community. and also not set up meetings or situations where we are, preventing people from taking part in it as well. And so that's been kind of tricky to kind of work through some of those things. But that's something that we're talking about and looking at. And I think it's just an awesome opportunity to serve people. And I think the trickiest part is trying to serve everyone the best way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2 meetings a year it's difficult to have changes in policy and have time to discuss and let things sort of settle. And there's got to be a lot of sort of offline conversations that are happening too. And
yes,
that's tricky.
Yeah. And we just had a meeting in August. We just had our first meeting, and from the feedback seemed to be that it went pretty well, but I think we may have set a record for one of our longest meetings. It's because we tried to do so many things. I was like, well, first one, and did I set a record? And Jim was kind of like, top 5. It's probably not the longest, but maybe top 5. So it is hard to just, hey, let's update this bylaw, or let's talk about this new, the change of TMEA. And it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to get through that all in 1 or 2 meetings a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Stacy Jernigan is president of MTSBOA. Stacy, you're going into year 2, I believe. Is that right?
I am indeed. Thanks for having me on. I would echo a lot of what Megan had to say about, being president of a regional association as big as ours is definitely a challenging, but I will say rewarding thing. What I have learned, and I've told a few people, is I felt like it took me the entire first year to just get my bearings and figure out what the heck was going on, to hopefully be able to move forward and accomplish some things in this next year. But now I'm afraid, feels like I'm not going to have enough time to do it. Note that I am not signing on for an additional year on my term, saying that. But anyway, it's exciting, but at the same time, humbling and a little bit challenging. Unlike East and if I'm correct, West, Middle Tennessee, we meet almost monthly during the school year. We don't meet, I think during December, we do a couple of online meetings, but we do a lot of in-person meetings, which I really, really enjoy. And I've enjoyed in the past year getting to meet so many more people in the association that I never would have known otherwise. And developing some strong relationships with other people in leadership that I might not have been able to otherwise. So looking forward to continuing year 2. Definitely have some challenges ahead, but I think challenges that are going to help music education and MTSBOA and TMEA, and I suppose TBA also become better as a result.
Benjamin Martin, president of West Tennessee Band and Orchestra Association. Hello, Benjamin.
Hey, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
This is year 2 for you also, isn't it, Benjamin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can copy and paste what they said before for my little section here. Yeah, I mean, I echo the same things they're saying. We meet 3 times a year. We meet in August. Then we have a meeting during our All West convention. And then we meet in May. So that, it would be nice. At one point, we did have 4 meetings, but there was one meeting would have very little participation in it, so we took it out. Yeah, I think one of the, pretty much everything they've said before. I will say one positive thing is the connections you make. I feel like you have a little more access across the state when meeting people and brainstorming ideas and picking brains and getting to learn a little bit more.
And you guys you're in charge of these organizations, but you're also leading programs of one or another. So Megan, you're the director of bands at Bearden High School in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. Stacy, you're at Wilson Central High School in Lebanon. Benjamin, you're at Huntingdon High School in Huntingdon, Tennessee, and then JR, you're the coordinator of fine arts in Robertson County. So you're running these associations, but you're also teaching freshman band. And Megan, you had a 3 overtime ball game on a Saturday night last night for your first game of the year. So, it's a lot of work that you put into what you do with these associations and also when you're leading your own programs. That's got to be a huge challenge. Does anybody want to talk about that and how you sort of make things work with that?
I'll jump in, and I'll be the first to admit sometimes I feel like I don't do a very good job of it. It feels like, especially at the beginning of the year, it has felt a little bit like swatting at flies, as I would say. I mean, it's just hit the first thing that's got to happen right now. It's a definite. You have to be organized, and make your to-do list and prioritize, and sometimes I have to give like complete credit to my supporting cast, as I'll call them. Um, my current partner in crime at Wilson Central, Carter Novelin, sometimes, bless him, he has to pick up the slack while I'm knee deep into MTSBOA things. And of course, uh, our executive committee and whatnot in MTSBOA are awesome to help share in some of that work to make it possible. Because if you were trying to do all of those things, and oh, by the way, we still have like actual lives outside of band. You just can't do it all. So you just have to learn how to delegate and share that, I think, with other people in some way or another.
Yeah.
It's hard. Sometimes it feels like you need to take a day off work just so you can work on other things like WTSBOA. And then, like she said, we have lives out of here. Like for instance, right now, as we're doing this, my son's here at a baseball scrimmage, so we're trying to multitask and plan for the events coming up, and we host a contest as well, so we've got to plan that and getting everything lined up for convention, and it's pretty exhausting sometimes, and we got what she said, having a good support system and being able to, if you have that, it makes it a little bit easier, but it's hard.
Yeah. And you just have to get way ahead of stuff. You have to just be way far ahead. I always did my MTSBOA stuff on Saturday mornings. I would get up at 5 a.m. and just knock it out 3 or 4 hours. Just do it then, and just try to sort of isolate it from the rest of my responsibilities, and that seemed to work okay. Okay, what are you really proud of? Maybe what's something that's new this year? What's something that makes your association unique?
I feel like I'm jumping in again, but
dude, we're casting visions here.
I would say 2 things come to mind. This is going to be our second year having a mid-state percussion ensemble.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
New venture that I'm really proud of. We are expanding their schedule a little bit from last year, hopefully to give them more adequate time to prepare for their concert. It went great last year. Dr. Julie Hill did it, and it was awesome. And we're looking forward to expanding that. Hopefully, right now it's just 11th and 12th grade. Hopefully, in the future, we're going to expand that to other grade bands. And then a new thing, I actually want to give all due credit to East Tennessee on this. JR got the regional presidents together at some point last spring on a Zoom call. Mm-hmm. And I became more familiar with their Mind the Gap series that came about during COVID. And so we're going to try to start something kind of like that in MTSBOA. And I think we're calling it Tune In is going to be what we call it. But it will be kind of a virtual professional development type idea, some of it topical, like we might have about 4 of these, I think, this year. We might have one on picking literature for your ensemble, or we might just have one where Susan Waters and a couple other really awesome veteran teachers are online and people can just come on and ask questions. So pretty excited about that.
That's great. Megan, don't you all have some sort of well, just talk about All-State East a little bit. It's such a unique experience at All-State East.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, we're very excited about it this year. All East is we bring together four ensembles. Two of them are 9-10, two of them are 11-12, and we also have two orchestra groups. We'll have a full symphony orchestra with winds and percussion and strings, and then we also have a string orchestra group as well without winds and percussion. And in there, I think it's just a really fun event. It's really like near and dear to my heart. I remember going to those as a kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember thinking it was like one of the best things out of my whole year, right, of school. Like anything, if I could pick anything to do out of this year of school, it's to go to All-State East, right? And to go to All-State. And I think it's so fun to see all of our kids come together from across the region and they see each other and they reconnect and I again connect with those memories myself. But also I love seeing all of our directors come together too. For this event last year, we started something though where we started a partnership with Music for All. They approached us, which was so wonderful. We've always offered professional development opportunities throughout the event, and they were like, "We'd love to take part in this too. You know, how can we, like work in with what you're doing?" And then we were also like, "Well, how can?" All of us were like, "Well, how can we take this a step further as well?" And so we were able to offer 6 different sessions with a guest from Music for All coming in. And then also, we just had these like one-on-ones with the person that our artist, or you could say artist in residence or guest in residence. And it was fabulous. Like directors could just sit down with, here's something that's going on at my school right now. How would you handle it? And so they would just talk through it for 10 or 15 minutes and try to come up with some solutions for it. And there was no like, pick of these 3 ideas. It was just anything, right? Which I think was so valuable to our directors to also see that, they're not alone, that other people encounter these issues as well, and hear other potential solutions from other places across the country. So this year we're hoping to expand on that some more and to bring in an additional person just to offer some more opportunities for our directors too. And one thing that we do that JR and I have talked about that I'm not sure is unique or not, but we also do a representation policy in our region where if no one from your school, but like a student didn't score high enough to place in the clinic in the event from your school, then that school can elect to send one person from that school from their program. Great. And so we've really enjoyed watching some programs get to participate in that and find a voice. I think their students go back, getting them all excited to go back to their band rooms or in their orchestra rooms and share with their colleagues, their student friends about how much fun it was and be kind of a source of inspiration for that. So that's been really fun to see too.
Have you seen any sort of long-term effect of that? Like where there's a student that gets to go because of the representation policy, but then the next year, maybe a couple of kids from that school make it because that one kid showed leadership and went back to their school. Have you seen that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have seen that happen before. We've also seen it happen because kids will go back and talk about it and they're super excited and they're like, I really want to make it so that you can they'll try to come on, you need to come with me.
Yeah, get their friends to go. Right.
Exactly. And it doesn't happen every time, but it's still, I think it also helps the program feel like they're being recognized too for the work.
And it doesn't hurt the quality of the band. I mean,
no.
Right. It's creating a pipeline.
Yeah.
It's creating a pipeline is what it is.
And it reinforces what we're here to do. And that's music education. And, maybe for a new director or a program that's struggled for years, that could be, what changes the direction of that program.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think that's dramatic. I think that's real. I think that's something that when you get that itch and they see, they're playing with a great clinician and playing great music with other great students, performers. It really does help.
Okay, Benjamin Martin. Okay, what are you proud of, man? Oh, you could talk about the incredible hall you guys get to play in.
Absolutely. And I forgot how many years we've done it because when I graduated in 2002 and we were playing in high schools, but we now play at the beautiful Cannon Convention Center in Memphis, Tennessee. Um, and it's connected to the Renaissance, and students rehearse in this beautiful large room. I would say probably the only negative thing about it is there's columns in there, but it's not. Once you adjust, it's great. The convention center is fantastic. It is a um, professional venue for the students to perform. Um, that's something we're continuing to be proud of. And we're very proud of the clinicians we're bringing in this year. We try to use, we try to go out and get some out of state, and then we try to showcase some of the great educators we got here in Tennessee. And then we also like to try to bring back. We have one clinician, Angela Winter, who actually went through WTSBOA and is now coming back and being a clinician.
That's great.
Last year we had Ben Easley come back and do that. So, and I think we also, one of our jazz clinicians had also went through. So it's something we're very proud of. We've also added a new orchestra ensemble, which will take effect not this school year, but I believe next school year. So kind of expanding that and giving them the model, kind of the band number of ensembles.
Where do you all need help? Where do you need help with all the things that you have going in? Do you need somebody to chair an event? Do you need somebody to be the equipment manager? Are there places where there are gaps that maybe this podcast can reach folks that might want to help you out?
Actually, we are looking for an equipment manager. One of the things about being at the convention center is you got to have percussion equipment, which is asking a huge favor because, directors are having to give up their equipment for a few days, actually a little bit early before the event so we can pick it up. And then we get trucks and we haul it in from several schools, and then we try to ship it back out by Friday before the jazz concerts start. So we're looking for someone to kind of man that right now. So,
okay, maybe somebody hearing this will volunteer. That's a good job. I did that job as a kid. I did it for Allstate for a couple of years when I was a young director, and you learn a lot about organization. You learn a lot about you get to hang out with the clinician to some degree. You get to be in that sort of circle, and it's a good way to learn little bits and pieces and nuts and bolts kind of information. So if there's a young teacher out there in West Tennessee, then jump on this opportunity. It's a great way to learn.
I think particularly we talked about this we had a new member meeting last week before our general meeting. And, for anybody that's interested maybe down the road in leadership in these regional organizations, like jobs like that or ensemble coordinators and are huge in terms of just getting to know more people. Like, it's hard work, no lie, but it is rewarding in that you get to know some people and make some connections that you might not otherwise make.
I think we feel the same way. It's a great opportunity for people to build that network of community, and it's a great way to experience something outside of their band room too, right? Because then all of a sudden they're getting to see all of these things and connect with other people that are outside of their band room. It's almost professional development as you're like, come on, we got to stuff all the folders. What are you all playing?
Yeah.
All those little side conversations you get to have. And so I think, anytime we can have help with that. I think for East Tennessee, we're trying to look at, how to serve our younger members, or members that are maybe new to the profession after they've been doing something else for a while. And so we're looking at kind of starting a membership committee. Maybe it's not that they're mentors, but it's hi, I'm checking on you. How are you doing? Okay. Oh, you've got a problem. Oh, that is a problem. Okay. Well, you know who you could contact? Call so-and-so.
Yeah.
Or, just somebody to let them know. I don't know. My grandmom was one of the sweetest ladies. She passed away when she was 96 years old. But even when she was 92, I would call her and I'd say, hey, Grandmom, how you doing? She's like, I'm doing great. What have you been up to today? Taking food to the elderly. Well, okay.
To the elderly.
To the elderly. I was like, Grandmom, you're 92. Somebody should be bringing them.
That's so sweet.
But it's just, it wasn't a lot she was doing, but it was something where she was connecting with somebody and she wanted them to know that somebody was just making that connection and being present with them for a second. And I think that's what we're trying to do with that membership committee, is just somebody to take the time out of their day to give a minute to go, you doing okay?
Yeah.
Do you need help with anything? And giving them that connection. So I think there's a need for that, especially with, when you hear about teacher turnover and you see young directors not, you see their potential and you see that enthusiasm, and then you don't see them.
Yep.
And that's heartbreaking, how can we help with that? So that's
I think
one
about
thing we've been kind of talking about.
young teachers in August. I don't know how you guys work.
Bless them.
I'm retired, but August is my worst month, period, as a teacher. And so many things going on. And I talked to a young teacher the other day, and he was describing, and he was in a bit of a desperation mode, but really he was just describing August. So, I was able to reassure him by saying that, hey, this just always like this in August. It's not that you're a bad teacher. It's not that you're not prepared for this. It's just that August is incredibly challenging. So
you actually said that to me not too long ago.
Tough it out, Yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't talking about you, Benjamin, in this case, but it's. I think sometimes when the young teachers get into challenges, they just assume that there's something wrong with them, right?
Yeah.
And that they're not cut out for the job, and it's not that. It's just the job is really hard.
Well, and there's a lot of times that it's not the part of the job that you really were trained to do that's like stressing you out the most. It's all the other stuff, or your music appreciation classes or your guitar classes that you've been assigned to teach and you've never once picked up a guitar to play. And so it's like baptism by fire, because you're having to figure out how to manage this class you really weren't trained well to do, and classroom management and so yeah, I feel for you if you're new out there. Just know that, like, if I could send a message to everybody, like, we are here for you. I'm serious. Like, reach out to someone, one of us, anybody in your association that's a veteran teacher. I'm quite certain would be glad to lend an ear or make some suggestions to help you out, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even just a curriculum planning guide. Hey, get all these things, try to do these things by these dates. Okay, thanks. I think that's another thing about teaching some of those classes is we don't get resources for those.
Right.
And I remember sitting in an evaluation one time, and the evaluator he was just, going through his questions, and he's like, okay, now materials. Okay, so materials, what do you get from the county? And I was like, oh, I don't get any materials from the county. And it's like, you don't, what? He just kind of sat there for a minute, like, what do you mean you don't get any? I mean, we don't. I'm just teaching what I know is correct, and like in general music classes, and it's kind of startling, and that is overwhelming,
Yes.
So I feel for them too. It's okay, you can do it. Plus, I think you're also trying to get your teaching stamina. Like, it's 2 weeks. It's like you just started working out again. Get in there. Keep it going. Don't stop.
Your body is mourning the end of summer.
Yes. Getting up again.
Yep. And maybe that's something that we can all be a little bit more proactive about moving forward, is trying to maybe have conversations in advance to help young teachers, and maybe even talking to students that are finishing undergrad that are about to go into this. Hey, you're not getting this from your university class because their curriculum is chock full of all the stuff they have to do, but here's the stuff that's going to maybe cause you the most stress. Maybe that's something some content we can push out in April and May of next year.
Oh, that's a great idea. Hey, working on your band budget.
Yeah, right.
Top 5 things you probably should have in there.
This is an Excel spreadsheet. Yes.
Yeah.
And even those general music classes that maybe you're not as prepared to teach, if you find some resources and do a good job, that can be rewarding too, right? I mean, it's music education for the masses.
It's one of the best ways to just be an advertisement for, hey, you don't have to be in band or orchestra, but man, isn't what they're doing great?
Yes. And maybe my little brother's going to be in band. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we get so many baseball, football, theater, all of the soccer, lacrosse, I don't know, all the things, the kids coming through there. And, if I can get them to have a bit more appreciation for some people who make music, I think that's a huge thing
Yes.
in our day, in our world. So
I think something you can do if you ever had a student teacher is from time to time, even just say, hey, how are you doing? How's the season going so far? How's your year started off? I think that helps, especially when they're younger, to know that someone's still there to kind of give them some support or just let them vent. Is there to let them vent to you sometimes. I think that's very helpful, or maybe come from advice. I had a student teacher that was like, I get no money from the district. And I'm like, all right, here's what you need to start doing. This. You need to make a budget and present it and be respectful. Say, hey, look, and compare. Say, these schools right here are doing this. We're wanting to build this program. Can we, kind of start moving in the right direction? I think mentoring is something we can do a lot better of, or do a lot better. Excuse me.
Okay, what kind of things do folks miss that we can maybe put on an alert for? Like, hey, don't forget this. Maybe it's a deadline. Maybe it's something that trips people up. And Megan, you've been secretary, even though you're in your first year. You probably have an idea of what some of these things are. If you could get the message out about one or two things, what would it be?
register your students in time for the events of solo and ensemble, and like the junior band honor clinics, whatever you all call them in your regions, but for us it's junior clinic and senior clinic, all state east. Just make sure you get all that stuff in on time. And it is an extra step of sitting down and going through with the bookkeeper about it, and trying to do it so far in advance that you get the postmark right. Just take a second to talk to your kids about it, and get those things turned in. I think it just creeps up on people.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're saying, it's nose to the grindstone, trying to get those things out. But those would be the deadlines we would most want to get the word out about.
I would echo Megan, specifically a couple of deadlines that I might throw out. Our CPA registration deadline in Middle Tennessee, to register, the deadline's like early December, and I don't think that's often on everybody's radar at that point in time, because we're like in Christmas parade, Christmas concert, mid-state audition mode, all those things. So that one slips up on people sometimes. And I would say this year, want to just say don't forget about your membership registration, because it opened lots later than normal, because we were kind of waiting on everything to shake out with TMEA to know exactly where dues would fall. So ours is open now. Get it done. I think our deadline without late fee is the date of our September meeting, and then our final deadline is the date of our October meeting. So there's plenty of time, but it just wasn't in its normal timeline of events, I think. So I think it's something I'm afraid some people might let slip by.
Benjamin, anything?
Yeah, just make sure, just echoing what they said, make sure you hit all these dates up. Make sure we actually have an attendance requirement per our Constitution that you attend 2 of the 3 meetings. We've already had 1. Make sure you're hitting them up. Yeah, just and just checking the calendar. And we're trying to use the band app more this year. I kind of let that slide a little bit last year, but we're going to try to, if you join the band app, we're going to start putting alerts in and reminders in that will help, hopefully aid the West Tennessee directors. And I would also say this: do take advantage of these opportunities in your regions. Don't, if you're only involved in maybe just all West, try doing solo and ensemble. It makes your program better. You know, we have a lot of people that like to build kind of a portfolio of literature for your students. That's a great way to do it. Is your solo and ensemble events. Do your CPA events. all those things are great. Try to do more than one event a year.
I think there's some amazing things happening or amazing things on the forefront in Tennessee in music ed. But I think it's going to be some things that are going to take a while to develop. I'm super excited to hear like these conversations that are happening to like broaden our regional associations and TMEA and TBA2 to be more than just event planners.
Yes.
Super pumped about the direction those things are going, but I also am. It's a little daunting, I think, as we like look at how to broaden our horizons, and just hope everybody knows that conversations are being had, and these things hopefully are coming. But just bear with us as we kind of tread uncharted waters a bit.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with Stephen Coleman this week with Arts Ed Tennessee to talk about some specifics for some outreach PD that we might be able to offer. Things that we haven't done before that TMEA can partner with other organizations about. And it's help is on the way. Is that Mrs. Doubtfire? Help is on the way. Thanks so much to JR and Megan and Stacy and Benjamin for coming on and giving up your time here to talk about this. What's going on in your associations, because I think it's going to be really important for folks as we kind of go through the year. So thank you very much for being on. Thanks for listening to Bandstand. Bandstand's mission is to build a stronger, more unified band community in Tennessee by fostering meaningful conversations about the past, present, and future of school bands in our state. If you have topic suggestions or need to get in touch with us, email us at tbabandstandpodcast@gmail.com. Your input is important to us, and if you have a topic you'd like to discuss about the past, present, or future of Tennessee bands, please let us know. Again, that email is tbabandstandpodcast@gmail.com. Right now, we're broadcasting on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, so please subscribe, review, and rate Box 5, please. And if you find something interesting or helpful, please share this podcast with your friends. Bandstand is proud to be sponsored by Music for All and Romeo Music. See you next week.